Here's another message we got from a listener in Sweden who, instead of emailing directly via australianrockshow@gmail.com, chose to use the contact page on our website, which is another way you can reach us. Anyway, this comment is from Stefan Kappers in Sweden, who writes, "Hi there, I was just again listening to the episode with the fantastic interview with Jeff Hoad. It seems that he's very soon releasing new material by the Rich and Famous, and a follow-up on that would be great. Also, his brother Cliff is on his way with a new Kings of the Sun album. I've heard it and it's really great. So that would be great to hear more about. And last but not least, there's two fantastic bands that have left Australia to hopefully strike gold up here in Europe. I'm from Sweden. I'm talking about Massive and Tequila Mockingbird. A catch-up with them would be great. Thanks for a great show. Cheers." Stefan, thank you for the message. Yes, that interview with Jeff back on show number 8 turned out really well. I know many people dug that one as you did. And friend, the rock and roll planets must have aligned quite recently, because sometime after your message, we got sent the recent Jeff Hoad material, which I really, really like. And who better to discuss all things related to the Rich and Famous but Jeff Hoad himself. Before we listen to an interview we did with Jeff earlier this week, let's crank some brand new tunage. Here are the Rich and Famous with some dirty music. Jeff Hoad, Dennis Gray from the Australian Rock Show.
Dennis, how are you, mate?
I'm very well.
I missed you first because I had a phone. My phone was turned down.
That's all right. Great to chat with you again. The first thing about rock and roll I remember was chatting with you 2 years back. How have you been?
Oh, pretty good, mate. I just realised it was 2 years ago tonight when I actually went back on your site again and went, oh my God, that was 2 years ago. It's insane, eh? And proudly to say we were one of the first few that got on there, and we're still around.
You are. You
and I mean.
Mate, we may as well rip straight into it. We just played the new track, Dirty Music. Great riff, lots of energy, love that. Can you tell me more about that particular track, Dirty Music? It's been around for some time, hasn't it?
Oh, the song itself?
Yeah.
Or just Dirty Music?
The track.
No, the track hasn't been in that though. It's just it's something I found, like a little bit of a muck around that I was playing on an old MP3 recording I did on a MIDI disc player, because I got the MIDI disc player working, and then I went, that's a great riff, and I started, and at the time I was listening to some rockabilly stuff, and there's a fantastic artist, what's his name, Johnny Burnett, and he's like around the same time as Elvis was, but he was like a real hillbilly rocker, and it's simplicity, I love it.
Okay, so there's 3 new singles from the Rich and Famous out and about, each released a week apart. Take us to your leader, out March 30. Dirty Music is out April 6, and the track Blast Off is released April 13th. That's a pretty cool idea to release 3 singles in quick succession. What's the thinking behind that one?
Well, just get it out there is the thinking, because it's been so long since I've put anything out, and who knows where your interest is going to lie, and the new way that it's come about now. Music, when Rich and Famous sort of ended, well, didn't end, but I was a bit sort of despondent. But last time we put three great albums out, and then there was nowhere to market your music, but now there's somewhere to market it. You can just get it out there in the digital world, and so now it's like, just get them out there, let people hear it. I'm not worried about the money of it at all. Yeah, that's just getting the awareness that we're around. That's all.
Well, I guess in this crazy world of social media, you've got to think outside the square and do things like week apart singles, don't you?
Totally. I'm reading something that Mick Jagger said, and he said, talking about albums. No one listens to albums anymore. People just download single songs they like off, iTunes or whatever. And that was like a wake up call. It's like, yeah, well, that's true, isn't it? Like, we may love the vinyl and the original have the hard copy in our hands, but it's not the real world. And if it was, well, it's over. It's I still love that same thing. I'm still looking at discs and stuff like that and searching around for older stuff. But the way that music's heard these days is different. It's just get it out there.
Well, it still lives on for many of us. The old days we're called rock and roll Luddites, and that's fine by me. Fine by me.
I love Luddites. Actually, one of my relatives was sent to Australia for being a Luddite. It's a true story.
Okay.
It was a convict. He burned down a weaving mill, because the weaving mills came in, and he burned them down. He was sent to Australia for the penal colony.
Bit of Hoad family history there.
Yeah, it's true.
Mate, when we last chatted, you told me with regard to creating new music that you sometimes wanted to stay current and move ahead. And I thought of your comment when I heard the song Take Us to Your Leader, because it does sound both current and progressive, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's like, it was a strange track because we worked on it for the guys, Dean Turner and Dean Reese, and the drummer. Dean Turner goes back to the Rich and Famous days, but got a new drummer, Dean Reese, and we played around with it so much, and it just grew and grew. And then we went down to record, and we thought we hadn't finished it, but at the end of the whole recording, I went, "Yeah, let's just do it." And it became it's a bit of an epic, but it's such a tongue-in-cheek, crazy tune, and it goes with the name of the Rich and Famous and the I don't know, if you like a conspiracy theory, the Illuminati and all that sort of stuff, and reptilians, it's all out there. So it just worked, and I'm so glad we did it because it came up great.
Yeah, I agree, and it took me a few plays, but I really like it. Actually, the pounding drums sound like something Nicky Chin and Mike Chapman may have done with a Sweet track back in the 70s.
We got to that point where we had the lead in, and I just said stop and just go boom, da, boom, da, boom, da, boom, da, like it's kind of punk and it's kind of rock at the same time. I love Nicky Chin and Mike Chapman's production. I have always loved it.
What about the lyrics? We came from outer space to eat the human race. Say goodbye to everything as we slip inside your skin. Was the teenage Jeff Hoad filling his head with science fiction comic books back in the day? Yes or no?
No, it's more about the conspiracy theories that are on YouTube and stuff like that, with the reptilians and the Illuminati, and it goes with the name, the Rich and Famous, because we are the ones that are controlling the universe. You know that, don't you?
Sure.
Rich and Famous.
Sure.
So it was synonymous with that. That's all it was.
Well,
and our name gives us the ability to sort of send up a lot of that sort of stuff, and that's why I love the freedom that Rich and Famous gives us.
Let's talk a little about the Rich and Famous. The band have been around for, I don't know, 15 odd years now when you formed. Seems like you're pretty content with how the band are travelling at the moment.
Oh, totally content. It all started up with somebody just, Dean and Dean asking me to do a party, just do some tracks, and then we started to rehearse, and then I didn't even know if I had... I was sort of going, okay. We started doing a couple of old tracks, and then I just started playing new stuff. And then all these, I've got 15 songs that we've got. We decided to do an EP, but out of that one little comment, do you want to come and do a gig? It all sparked the new renewal of Rich and Famous. So I'm really happy about that.
So Dean Turner on bass and Dean Roosen on drums. I know they've both been with you for a while. Where did you originally hook up with those guys? Did you audition for band members?
Dean Turner he actually played in Kings of the Summer with us for a while, and I've known Dean Roosen for years. I actually used to live next door to him, and we're all sort of like an intertwined group. And I thought he loves Kings of the Summer, he loves Rich and Famous, and always has. So it was like a really easy. But I've never really written songs or been in a room with him playing until we went to do those first rehearsals, and then I went, my God, it works. He knows where I'm going. There was no restriction, and I just felt free. And they go back a lot of years, both those guys, but I'd never really actually been in a room to do something creative with the three of them us through before. So it was great.
So it's a good match.
Perfect match, yeah. For the new era.
The new era. So the 3 tracks you've released are off the soon-to-be-released 4th Rich and Famous album titled Take Us to Your Leader. Who produced it, and where was it recorded at? Can you tell us all about that?
It's recorded at the guy who did our last 2 Rich and Famous albums, Govinda Doyle. He's an ARIA award-winning producer, and it was recorded up in Lample Heights on the Gold Coast. And he's got I swear to God, it's amazing. It's a water tank, an old gigantic water tank, because he's way up on top of the hill, and he's converted into a studio. And it was recorded in this water tank studio. It's bizarre when you actually see it, but it was a real water tank. It felt like I was down in Roswell or something, like in the deep dark recesses of somewhere underground.
There you go, spinning back to science fiction again.
That's maybe it's all science fiction. I don't know.
You didn't think of sending those, the demos to Eddie Kramer, see what he could muster?
I but the irony of that, I was just thinking about our past producers, and I got a text just 2 days ago from Bill Whitman, who produced Full Frontal Attack, and he was in Australia, and he was playing bass with Cyndi Lauper and the Blondie show that played up, because he actually produced, believe it or not, Cyndi Lauper and us, but he's a real rock guy, and he, out of the blue, came a message, I'm in town for one night only, and the irony of that was amazing to me. It was like, we're putting up this new stuff, and then the producer from Full Frontal Attack arrives in Australia at the same time that we're just putting this new stuff out. That blew me out, because I love Full Frontal Attack and his production on that too, but I love it, Eddie Kramer as well, of course, but I never really thought about sending it to anyone. I just wanted to get it down. I'm not precious about music anymore like that. You know, like, I think we're all at that stage in life. You always felt like the record company owns you, that they send you with this guy, and you're sort of like being led like you're a bit blind.
Yeah.
As you get a bit longer in the tooth, you actually know what sounds good and how you want to sound, so you don't rely on it as much. But
that's just experience, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. Or to turn around and go, I know that's in tune, and I know that sounds good.
Sure.
But it's always good to have somebody to guide you. And Devinder, the guy who produced it with us, is really good at that. Like, he just says black and white, yeah, that's good, that works. And when he heard this, Take Us to Your Leader, he went, that's got to be on it. It's so quirky, it's so weird, it's so different. Just put it on there.
But it works. It's a great track. So,
yeah. And
I know that you have a great love of Flying V's, which we discussed last time. Did you record the record using one?
Yes, I did. I've got a Jackson Flying V, Randy Rhoads Flying V, and I also got a new white Flying V that was made years ago. A friend of mine finished it, but I didn't use it because I normally play slide on it. I didn't do any slide, but I'm going to send you something after this phone call is over, and it's going to blow your mind, because we have an old Rich and Famous T-shirt, and it's a dead ringer for your Australian Rock Show logo.
Really?
It's like what came, the chicken or the egg. It's bizarre. It's a Flying V with the Rich and Famous, and underneath where yours says Australian Rock Show, ours says "Don't hate us because we rock."
I look forward to that.
It'll blow your mind when you see it.
Let me put you on the spot.
It's so similar.
If you had to name maybe your top 3 Flying V players, who would they be? I know you did Billy Gibbons. I think he played with a V.
Oh, he played with a V. Yeah, definitely played with a V.
Okay.
Gibbons is one of my favourite guitar players of all time. But I also love Mark Bolan, his simplicity. I love his Flying V. He actually had a chrome one. I know he had a chrome Telecaster or something, but he always played with a Flying V. And the other Flying V specialist, Johnny Winter, played with a Flying V.
He did.
Early. Yeah.
Michael Schenker.
We had a Flying V.
Michael Schenker's one of mine. Randy Rhoads, of course. Actually, I think Dave Davies from the Kinks used one as well, didn't he?
Did, yeah. You know, the weird part about them is that they're a really hard guitar to love, because you can't sit down with them. But unless you're like Albert King and you've got legs like tree trunks. You know, like I saw him play live in New York once. He played a left-handed Flying V, the old blues guy. And he could sit there because it was like, he'd just sit right in his lap. Now, they're a very hard guitar to love, because you can't sit down and play them, you can't relax with them. You have to stand up and play it, you know.
Back in the day, from memory, you had a very nice black Les Paul, did you not? You still got that guitar?
That's my first guitar. It's a Les Paul Pro. When I was about 18, I went to Brisbane, and there's an American guy up there who was selling like 3 or 4 guitars to get his plane flight back home, and I bought it for $650. And he also had 2 other guitars. If I'd had any idea what I was even looking at that time, because a friend of mine took me up there, a guy called John Smethurst, who said, "We've got to go and buy this guitar." And that was the first guitar I've ever bought, and I used it on every single recording that we've ever done. I still use it. I know, and the only other person I've ever seen in Australia that's got one the same is Mark McKenty from the Vinyls. It's got the exact same guitar. It's not a humbucker model. It's got P90s in it, which is the old classic. Yeah, I mean, it's like, this is guitar talk. It's so boring. But when I walked for the dressing room one time, and I went, "That's my guitar. It's exactly the same as my guitar." And he's the only other person I've ever seen in like in the flesh that's had the same guitar as mine. I looked at it and went, my God, that's the same as mine.
Live, McIntyre used to get such an amazing live sound, a live tone in the live environment. He used to be so loud and great sound he used to get from his Les Paul.
Yeah, and that, I remember seeing him what's that place in the Cross, down one of those back streets? I remember seeing him there and watching them in the early days going, my God, that guy's guitar sound is insane. And then Pete Wells from Rose Tattoo got a Telecaster and put a P90 in it. There was a place called the Rock Gardens in King's Cross. Yep. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. And he debuted it there. It was in matte black, and it was like it just ripping your eardrums completely off. And he had a P90 in, one single pickup, and like a Telecaster shape, matte black, and it was his debut. And I went, my God, that sounds insane.
And I should mention it's 11 years just gone last week since the great Pete Wells passed away. But Jeff, since the last time we chatted, you performed in late August 2015 under the Kings of the Sun moniker for a couple of 80s themed shows on the Gold Coast and also in Brisbane. How were the band received?
Oh, it was absolutely awesome. You know what the best part about it was? 3 songs.
Really?
No, and that wasn't the best part about it. We would love to have done more, but we received really well. 3 or 4 songs we did, and Glenn Morris, the original Kings of the Sun guitar player, came up and played the first show with us on the Gold Coast, which was amazing. He got himself up here, and it was like, for the first time since Kings of the Sun broke up, I heard those harmonies, because he's got a fantastic singing voice and great harmonies, and he's got a band called the On and Ons. They're still playing in Sydney, and they've put numerous albums out. And just hearing that for the first time in so long, his harmony on my lead vocal was just really good.
It was just like, time had evaporated, I guess, when that happens.
Yeah, it was bizarre. And also going through these little key parts of the songs that we'd gone through, like Serpentine solo and Black River solo, and I just went, oh my God. I looked over and went, my God, it's him.
I've always thought, Glenn is a really great guitar player, and I saw him play in post Kings of the Sun outfits like the Screaming Tribesmen, and also a very short-lived outfit called Bloodshot from memory, who were pretty good. So question is, can we expect new recorded material from that version of Kings of the Sun or not? Was that just a one-off having Glenn in the lineup?
No, that was just a one-off. I'm really happy with the Rich and Famous and where we're heading. We've got, as I said, I've got probably 15 songs, including the 5 that are on the EP, that I would love to have recorded and love to get out there, because they're really current and they're really how I'm feeling at the moment, I
guess you've just answered my next question, which is a direct one. So will we ever see a Kings of the Sun lineup featuring both Jeff and Clifford Hoad again?
At this point, I'd say no.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm just happy where I'm at. I'm a futurist.
Okay. What's in the works for the remainder of the year? Any gigs planned for Sydney and Melbourne to help push the album?
Well, I'd love to, but at this point, I said I'm working the whole social media thing, because it's like we're getting a lot of response from overseas, a lot of stations playing us, a lot of people, fans that we obviously got from the Kings of the Sun days, because the RCA Records spent so much money on us, but they've followed the career of the band, and it's amazing how they're such rock purists over there in Europe and the States and Australia as well, but it's amazing how they hang in there over there. So we're feeling it out at this point. We'll always play live. I'm happy to play live if the time's right, and it's. I don't feel like I want to go tracking down the east coast of Australia in a Tarago van for $4.50 anymore.
Been there, done that.
I'm not saying I'm too good for it. I'm just saying it's just too hard. And there's such dwindling rock venues in Australia as well. It's not Australia. It's not the rock fans' fault. It's the infrastructure of the arts and all that sort of stuff. They've lost that whole what it means to be an Australian rock band. Now everyone's watching that crap on TV. Australia's Superstar or whatever it is. But the essence of Australian rock came from those rock gigs, and they're not there anymore.
What's the
some of them
is there a scene on the Gold Coast?
It's my little home studio is the scene. That's where the scene is.
It's starting it. You're rebuilding it, mate.
I'm rebuilding it from the ground up.
Nice. Folks, the fourth Rich and Famous album is called Take Us to Your Leader, and I'm not just saying this because I have him on the phone, but Jeff Hoad has long been the real rock and roll deal. Great frontman, great vocalist, underrated guitar player, and I encourage you all to go and buy the album and keep on supporting Australian rock and roll.
Thank you so much, mate, because you guys were there interviewing, how long ago? 2 years ago.
It's 2 years.
You guys are etched in the same stuff that I was etched into. This is what I said, I was glued to television trying to see anything rock and roll as I was growing up. And that's why I love YouTube now. Bands I haven't seen, like Alex Harvey, live gigs and things that you never get to see, especially watching GTK or something like that.
Yeah.
And going back and seeing it all. And there's an essence to Australian rock that no other place in the world has got. People emulate it, people try and copy it, but you were there and I was there, and we know what it is, and it's just this rawness, you know. Well, you know what I think about, I may have said this in the last interview, I'm not sure, but as we were growing up in rock and roll in Australia, there was always this belief that, you know, like there was somewhere else that was doing it better or whatever. Or that's just in my mind, the belief system. But it really, when you think about it, the only English-speaking countries that were doing rock and roll were us, England, and America, and you know, perhaps a couple of bands out of like South Africa or something like, or guys like Steppenwolf or whatever that came across the border in Germany. But we were always imagining that there was this gigantic thing out there that was rock and roll, but we didn't realise that we were a massive, like 1/3 of rock and roll was Australia. In my view, there was England and there was America, and then the third part of it was Australia, and has been for so long, but we never knew it.
Totally agree. Couldn't have said that better myself.
Yeah, we just didn't know it. We thought and it's coming across the TV. It must be better. There was an insane power to what this country was doing, and still does. But even now, you sort of see it in movies. They do these little tributes to Australia, because they realise it is a big market and it's a very influential market. I should have said New Zealand there too as well, because New Zealand did have some great rock and roll, you know, the Loved Ones and stuff like that. I'm not forgetting them.
La-di-das.
But we didn't realise it at the time.
Jeff, if people want to get a hold of the new album, I gather it's on iTunes and Amazon. What's the best way for fans to contact you as well?
Go to our website, I suppose.
Which is therichandfamousband.com.
Yeah, and you can buy it on Amazon, you can buy it on YouTube and stuff like that. I think so. iTunes, you can buy it everywhere, I think. But hard copies being produced as we speak. Not on vinyl, though.
We can hope.
Vinyl, I don't like killing vinyls. You know those vinyl jackets that were made during the 70s. You know how many vinyls they killed?
Jeff, thanks for coming on the show again. The interview we did, as I mentioned, with you back on show number 8 still gets a lot of positive comments. Many people enjoyed the thoroughness of that interview, and it's always cool to catch up with you. We're going to close out with the title track from Take Us to Your Leader. Why don't you intro that, and we'll let you get out of here.
Thank you very much. This is for the Tall Greys, Colin and Dennis, and the Australian Rock Show. This is the Rich and Famous Take Us to Your Leader.
Take Us to